Hello, Planet Sewers. Welcome back to the franchise mode series. I'm working on the cougar habitat here. It's the second part of this habitat here. So I started off doing a real-time build when I was doing my editing, and it's a lot of rock work. So I decided to go ahead and make it into a speed build, even though these usually are real-time builds. Two reasons. One, I already said, is the rock work. In real-time mode, this video would have been like an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours. And that was the other reason, so that I could go ahead and do the voiceover tonight and get it posted to YouTube for y'all. So I used a lot of different rocks here with the mossy theme. One set has the moss just on the top and the bottom of each rock, and the other has moss all the way around for the most part. So those are the two rocks that I used here or the two sets, I should say. And right here, I'm building, like a tank, a rock window tank, so you could, if they actually do deep dive. I don't think these guys do. I haven't seen them do it, but I may not have given them enough space since I built some stuff inside. I would have to go look and read and see if they actually do deep dive. But anyway, the idea is there that you would theoretically kind of be able to see them if they were swimming down here. Sometimes get a little grandiose in my ideas, but I was super happy with how this turned out. You can see them when you're underneath if they're swimming over, and you can see them in different parts of the habitat. They do have a private space off to the back, and then I did add in a really neat viewing area, which we'll get to in a little bit. So at this side, I went ahead and just copied it all the way around the quote-unquote tank, and then they have some of their actual habitat space is up top on those rocks to give them enough roaming room. So they have very multi-level habitat, and they have a cave over there that they can go sleep in, and guests can see them if they're sleeping there. And then behind the cave is their private area. And right here, I'm adding in rocks to cover the glass that's around these areas. I don't show every little bit of rock work that was done here. Some of the spaces got really tight and difficult to work in, and some of them had many renditions as I was trying to figure out how I wanted to lay them out. So I did skip a couple of tight spots later on in the video. And then here I'm using the smallest one that they have of that little pillar rock so that I could line over the curb. And then we're putting in all the glass to make sure that we can keep the guests from being able to, get into the habitat, of course, to keep them protected, make it realistic. I did leave this real time right here, just so you get a feel for how I was lining these up. And I always like to look around from different angles, so when you speed that up, it also is not a pleasant experience. So I kind of give it a look from all angles so that I can see exactly where I want it, especially with this little curve that the path created. And then I kind of tried a couple of things here before I settled on this glass. I started with a smaller one, and then I had toyed around with a bigger one, but I ended up with this guy and turned it on its side so that as they came down, they can still see out, but it's kind of shoulder height, more to look up versus look down. I don't think the cougars can make it underneath that path. I don't remember. I know I wanted them to, but I can't remember if I was actually able to get them to get under there. Instead, I think I brought down the stairs so that they can get to the other side. The water, once it's there, doesn't let you change the terrain too much. And then you have the path that's here. Once you have those elements, you would either have to take some stuff out to be able to change the terrain. And I didn't want, obviously, to take the water out because I'd already done the tunneling. And I like the way my path is. So, like I said, I don't remember. Anyway, so we're going to continue with our little glass viewing pane here and our little supports. Sorry for the bad camera angles. It's a funny little space. So just putting these guys on the tops and the bottoms to cover up the panes. So obviously they're supported and they have little ways to see through all throughout the habitat as they walk through. Originally I had put that one there kind of to measure and gauge where everything needed to be, but then I ended up just copying over that one side, so it was just a little bit off from what I needed, so I deleted it. And then we have just covering up that little path right there, since technically that's underwater, so I wanted to just get this going right in there so it would cover that up. And continuing to copy over the glass and walls, I do take some of them out. I was trying to kind of get it to, hit just right over that little entryway that's right there. Continuing to cover it up with rocks. It's rocks, rocks, and more rocks. Our most favorite thing in the world. They do look really good when they're done. They just are a huge part of this build. So I'm running out of things to say about rocks. Anyway, I do enjoy how they make everything look, and I do not always enjoy the process of putting in the rocks. I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it. I love the way that they do give a great natural feel to everything, and they also make amazing barriers. But I do sometimes, I'm like, oh, more rocks. But the benefit of using rocks, especially for barriers and things like that, instead of using in-game barriers, is that when you use the rocks, your mechanics do not need to go and maintain them. So it does save in that aspect. You don't have to have so many mechanics, and you don't have to worry about whether or not your barriers are going to hold up or going to need repairs. Same thing with using construction pieces. They don't deteriorate the way that the in-game habitat barriers do. So I do enjoy using various rocks and construction things. The little guy there cracked me up. I don't know what happened. I messed him up. He got stuck there. I fixed him. So I'm copying that building that was over there, and I'm bringing it to this side. So they are the same building, but I do edit this one a little bit. Some of the speed build or regular build, whatever you want to call it, is missing. I got really frustrated trying to get the path to fit in here. So that is missing from the edit. I forgot that I did that all off screen because I was frustrated. I'd done it so many times. I just turned the recording off and messed with it. So sorry about that. But anyway, so I got that kind of where I wanted it. And then I decided, let me come back over here and let's finish out the rocks so the habitat is complete. I didn't want to forget anything over here before I finished off that little building. But that little building does a great job of giving a great view of the cougars. So I was a little worried if guests would actually go up there and look, but they do. So it has I think it's a hot dog, and I forget what kind of drink is in there. And then it also has a restroom up on the top floor with some seating. And then guests actually will stand on the next part that I build for it to look out over this, pond area that I created with the rocks. And so it's just the cladding rocks, I believe they're called, a bunch of them, a little bit different variations, just moved around to create a traversable area. And then I decided to use those really long ones just to create some interesting angles and kind of make it look like it's been etched out a little bit, maybe out of a mountain or a hill, so that it kind of closes this in and it's not just rocks in the air, because that doesn't make any sense now, does it? Anyway, I'm getting this little side connected. They could already make it up there, but I wanted the top part to connect up there and also have rocks for support. So I'm just using different rocks to kind of create an interesting look and also make sure that it looks like it's supported pretty well. And going back in and finishing off this other side, these aren't too difficult, but I do get a little tired of covering paths, so I'll go and move on to something else for a little bit, and then I'll come back and finish off the things when I get a little tired of them or bored, or my brain starts hurting from moving around the camera back and forth, which I did try to edit out as much of that as I could. Sorry, there goes one. But I do, like I said, I kind of go back and forth on each side to try to make sure that everything lines up the way I would like it to. So right there, I'm closing off that little area. So I don't know if, like I said, if they can get inside there, but realistically, I would want that to be covered up, and that way guests can't get into the habitat, and it's a nice, safe experience for everybody. We don't want little children's getting into the mountain lion habitat. And then I'm using that little small one. I decided to use the one where the moss is more predominant to cover the curb. And then on that side, I kind of went with more, the one where it's just kind of on the top, and finishing off, getting those all secure in there. And there we go. We have a nice protected area for our guests. And so right here, I've already done some of the editing to this building. I just kind of went to town after I got the path in and remembered, I'm not screen recording. So there's the path. And what I did to kind of fix it, what the problem was actually is when I had put the shops in, they looked even, but I guess they weren't. I don't know. But it would let me do the grid path thing, but one shop was in the way. But it turned out, I think it was the restroom, not the shop. So I had to move the restroom over and fix it. And once I did that, I was able to get my grid pathing the way I wanted, and then put in these support beams under the extra path that I added coming around. That was the other thing I was struggling with is even though it was to grid and everything was on the outside, the path insisted on just sticking out just a little bit. So I went ahead and just brought the path all the way around just to kind of get it close and put in some support. And also kind of, since this area rains a lot, that way they have protection from the rain if they're over here and it starts raining, there's somewhere to go. Maybe that is one reason there were a lot of people up here looking, other than some of the stuff that's there for them to enjoy. But I was super happy that they actually do go up here and they stand on that lookout. I've done a couple lookouts in the past, and a lot of times the guests won't use them. They get to see the animals from somewhere else, and therefore they don't go up there. Anyway, so I'm finishing the little entrance here. I decided to go ahead and bring the rock over, and then another part that's missing is I added that full rock mountain over there that building is sitting on a little bit. And we're going to put a sign for the Cougars, and I added a little light tube behind it and made it green and turned it on all the time. I just skipped going in there to highlight them all and make the group. And I'm adding a staff building underneath here. It really fought me trying to get it in place. I had to finally just kind of add it to the group and then take it back out. And I used, as you can see, the advanced move just to tuck it in there. And I added, let's see, a power supply. And I realized later that the water was getting dirty in the habitat, so I needed to also add the water treatment so they would have clean water. And if you heard a little jinkle, my corgi just walked into the room. I am having a little bit of struggles with my microphone. We moved all of our computer stuff around, and so I'm still trying to find the best settings for this room, and the struggle is real. So I'm sorry if the audio is a little off. I am trying to fix it with the software that I use, and it does a pretty good job for the most part. But anyway, enough about my behind the scene struggles. So I've got both of those cougar signs on there, and we're going to add a little bit of foliage, and we'll also do a little bit of a walkthrough once this is over as far as the build goes, and take a look of every. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today either. Take a look at everything. There we go. Good grief. I love these plants. These are my most favorite plants in the whole game. It's probably because they're purple. But I really do enjoy them, and I'm kind of a little crazy with them, and tucked them everywhere and made one area just an explosion of these guys. And I also added another flower after I checked their tolerance to the plants that I've already put in. And so I go around and add a whole bunch of those. This plant was a lot of fun to just kind of give this some color and break up all that green that was going on the outside. And we're gonna add, I forget what it is, but it looks kind of like a white flower. I was poking around trying to find, oh no, it's not, it's pink. I thought it was white. Anyway, we're gonna tuck those guys kind of with them and go around and add those a little bit here and there in the rock crevices and a little bit on the ground, so that there's some nice scenery as the guests walk along here as well. I didn't put too many of them inside the habitat itself. I like the trees. I just wanted to give the little walk around a little more of a pop. And then right here, I decided to use this little moss thing. I forget what it's called now, but I liked the way that it looked, and it kind of continued that moss clouding that's going on inside the habitat, but it has little flowers on it. And then here I'm adding in the tables for them to have a rest if they want to go up there and sit. And so here we are. We're at the beginning of the Mies Zoo. All my franchise zoos are Mies Zoo. It's a play off of our last name, my husband and I. He has all his nicknames are the Mies, so that's where that comes from. And I was looking for the Venturons in here, and I didn't see any. So I may have to go back and see if maybe that build took me so long that all my Venturons have passed away, because usually that's really full of people, but that's their habitat. So we'll go around this way, and we're back at the gondola. And over there you can go to the sun bears, but we'll go poke around in here so they can come in. They can get in line at the gondola, and it has like a little greenhouse. And then there is a little hidden shop right there. I hid it mostly just so they have a place to stop and get something if they needed a little snack or whatever. And today was not my luck at getting the animals to be in the best places. But there's the tunnel for the Himalayan bears. It's a previous episode, and it comes around this way, and there's one of the bears. He's hanging out on this side, and if you go that way, it'll take you to the Cougars. But we're gonna go walk through the sun bear habitat. So theirs is a split habitat. They can climb over and get into the water, or they can go over there on the other side and hang out in their little land area. And to the right, we have a peafowl habitat. I need to still do some work on that. I wasn't overly excited about it. I changed a couple of times, and here we are. And we're at the Cougars, and I really like walking through here. It's super pretty. I do wish that they had been in all the places that they were when I was taking screenshots prior to getting into the Tejit Cam. But by the time I got over here, the sun was setting, so they're probably on the back side of the exhibit where you can't see them. Probably getting ready to go to bed for the night. And then there's the support building for all the Cougars. It has the keeper hut, and it has, I think, a staff building as well. And since the sun did go down, I decided we'd kind of come over here and take a look at how the lights light up over here. I probably do need to go back inside through that walkthrough and add some more lights. I didn't fully light that area. I need to go back and do that. I didn't think about it until I was walking through this section. The only reason I remembered was because it was raining when I made the signs, and I thought it would be cool to have that green glow behind. So I'm gonna walk up here. Right there, I'm gonna put some plants in. I forgot about it. I was so excited to get this built out. And so then they can come up one more level, and we have the restrooms, and here is our lookout. They weren't there, so I was like, oh man. And I was really fascinated how they were coming up the stairs and they would just consume their stuff. But you have a lookout right here as well. So you have 2 opportunities and 2 levels to stand and get a glimpse of these guys. Unfortunately, I'm trying to find them again. I can't find them. So we walked all night. I guess they slept all night on the other side. They did not come swimming. They didn't come down here. I think there's one. There we go, finally. And off it goes back to the other side. But there's our little glimpse of the Cougar. The first build does have some really great screenshots of them and video footage. I was like, oh, I think I see one, but no, it's just the people. It's a reflection. That's kind of cool though. Nice reflection of the people walking around. So if you don't get to see the animal, you can look up and look at yourself in the waves. I'm still hoping they'll show up, but oh well, I give up. We'll come back out, and maybe we'll go back up here and try again and see if we can see one. Nope, they're not here either. I did think about moving one, but I would have to get back in the Tejit Cam. So unfortunately, there's just great views of my habitat in this walkthrough. However, I will give you some screenshots that I took, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And there will be a Houston Zoo video out. If you do like my content, consider subscribing, and may the RNG odds be ever in your favor.